Lots of stuff to do today, boys and girls, including I'm swapping out one of the kegs in here, and I think the gas is about to go, so I'm going to swap the gas out as well. So before moving this, we're going to take day 4 of the Advent year, because it is an adventure calendare, out. And I'm not going to piss around today, I'm just going to make some room to get my hand in there. Oh, crikey, my hand's grown overnight. And we will see what day 4 of the Harrison's Brewery Advent Calendar is. It's the pail. I don't know, have I had the pail before? I'm not sure I have, you know. I don't think I have. There we are. Harrison's Brewery pail, 4.1%, nicely sessionable. So that can go in the fridge, ready for later. I've chopped a little bit off to go on here to extend that for the larger L and lid. Now I'm thinking about the anatomy of both the HLT and the boiler. Essentially 3 connections, 3 holes at the bottom for the level sight glass. It's not sight glass, it's a level, but it is also a sort of sight glass. Out tap, and on mine, on my kettle, boiler, copper, I've got the whirlpool down here. Pretty much the same configuration for the hot liquor tank. So I've got the sight glass down there which tells me how much is in there. I've got the output tap, and this kind of goes in the bottom, but it's the Herms, so it doesn't actually go into the tank, it goes into the Herms, and then out here top, the same as that's got a top inlet for the recirc. This has got a top for recirculating hot water inside the hot liquor tank ensures that it's an even temperature all the way through. So realistically it's just the hot liquor tank that needs 1 extra hole for the Herms out. Also in the back, when we get to the back, hello Delilah darling, how you doing? You're right, sweetheart. Oops. In the back we've got the thermo wells. Not showing you that very well, am I? I'm not really a pro, you know. So, as both need pretty much the same configuration, the issue is going to be, I think, the level at the bottom, because flip you onto your side. A lot of where I'm going to need to go in is sort of almost below the weld line, which is a pain in the proverbial bottom. Now you kind of like get the same issue with those, but I think that the dynamic of these is a lot more. So what I'm going to do is measure the distance from the rim to the base by putting this on here, and quite typically, I don't know where I put the tape measure. Bugger. Ah, well, you see that now. That now tells me we've got 40 mil. So as a consequence, that is about 100 mil. So you've got 60 below. Now why does that matter? Because in a kettle it means you're going to have an arm and then an angle to get down into the bottom of the kettle. Well, and obviously for the HLT2. Whirlpool doesn't really matter as much, I suppose, because I can angle that down on the inside. Sight glass, see, all of those will be could probably be all right, I suppose. Oh, I think I'm just going to have to bite the bullet on this and say that we're going to put the fittings above the line of the base, the rim. So there's not a huge amount below these, but there is below that, so I'm just going to use internal fittings on the inside. Now the way that I think I'll achieve that, and obviously I've put all of the fittings I need somewhere else. I think they're in this bucket. Hang on, I'll get one out and show you. So I could only find the male version. If you imagine the female version, this is the female version. Okay, we'll go through an L and be welded into, so a weld around here. Now I need to check, because a mate's offered to do the welding, but if it's going to be really difficult, I might just try and get away with something like this bolted on, but ideally it would be welded through. So this will go through, be welded here to the skin, and I would then be able to attach drop tubes on the inside of both the copper and the HLT. That's the plan. I might need another QMax cutter. I better have a little look and see, because I think the outside diameter of this and this is going to be the same, so whatever system I decide to go for, probably the same QMax cutter. Right, let's have a look and get measuring and stuff, and then get ready. I need to glue, in case you're wondering how this works. So am I. I'm wondering not how this works, but if this will work. So this will cut the lid off one, and I'm going to glue this to the side to cut the lid off the other. Now that should give us enough overhang, and also just about enough so that you can get the lid inside this rim. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because otherwise it'll be a nice hole, but we won't be able to get the lid on because this tapers in, you see. Can't think about these things, because so many times in my life that I haven't, and then I've ended up swearing lots and lots. Alright, the QMax cutter I have is 21mm and is not going to be big enough if we're going to try welding these in. Oh well, it is obviously the right size for those if we're going to use bolting. I really would like to have them welded in, but it's going to be an awful lot of welding, and I don't know how easy it's going to be. I don't really want to make life too difficult for the welder. For Chris, Mr. Harry Brew 69. I think what I'll do before anything else is run this by him, see what he thinks. That's what I'll do. Anyway, I've got a lot to do today, and so cutting those holes is not a major that's not a major pressing thing at the moment. Let's get those tops. Now I'm modifying this jig to angle the plasma cutter to chop out the lids. I think this is the maximum size we can go. Now thing is, you've got to go from the center of here to the center of here. Now the lid needs to have a big enough lip to maybe create a seal, but the hole needs to be big enough for, let's move this off, for the hop basket to fit in. Now at present time, let's move me jugs. You can never have too many jugs, can you? I like my little jugs, but big jugs is alright sometimes as well. And what I've just done is knocked that onto my toe. So look, let's just go through this. Here, this is the size of hole that the current jig will cut out, and that fits over the copper with a fair bit to spare. Now, just to show you, fucking hell, you mop it. Right, so this is how I want the new ones to fit, but with as much overhang as possible to create a sill. But the whole thing is dependent, try not to, upon this, not this, this is a bit of Lichtenberg, which I thought I'm going to try and get on there somehow onto the new boat. So this is the hop filter. Now this is exactly the size to fit in that hole. There's very, very little tolerance on there. So because there's very little tolerance on there, this cannot be any smaller. So I think we could trim another ½ inch off there, which is why I'm getting in a right old 2 and 8 in here today. I'll have a tidy up in a minute. So that's why I think on here I can get away. Let's just line it up properly on the lid that I've left over there. So my mark is somewhere there. I think that will cut about well, from the edge there. It goes to the centre, so probably at 8 or 9 mil. Can't remember what size hole I've drilled in here. So I think if I glue that then onto that line, we'll have a jig for the large lid and then a jig for the small hole. The small hole's going in the copper, so the big hole going in the HLT will provide a lid big enough to go over the copper. Whew, God, that was long-winded, sorry. Right, here's something I thought I'd just cover. Even though when you look at this, it looks like this is further forward than this, how is it further in on the rim? And it's one of those optical illusions, because we're actually measuring from the centre of the boss to here and the centre to here. So even though this looks like it's more sticky outy, it's actually a shorter distance to the middle of there. Look at that, boys and girls, a little sort of geometry almost lesson. I'm going to wait for the glue to sort of cure and dry and whatever, and then while that's drying I'm going to catch up on some of my messages. Very sorry if I've missed a message from you this week. Just had a little look and there's about 40 Facebook Messenger messages and about 160 emails. I know that 150 of those emails I can just do a copy and paste reply to, but it still means there's 10 that I need to address. So if you've been waiting for a response from me on YouTube or Facebook or email this week, I do apologise. You know what it's been like? I've been far too busy making shitty videos. Fucking hell. I can go in the outtakes. Doing the inspections. This is by far, I think, the better of the two. Let's compare it with the other one. This one's definitely seen better days. I'm going to try and knock that out, but I don't know really. I think realistically, I mean that's the back. So we come round the front. What would you say? It's got character, I suppose. My concern, and I really am, it is a concern. I'm just thinking, I don't know whether to try and drill a hole, bend it, and put bulkhead fittings in, because I just think it's going to be a horrible thing to weld. Sort of imagine it going through about that much. I don't know. I'm very grateful that Chris has offered to do the welding, but I don't want to make it absolutely a ball ache or a job for him to do. And if we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 on each, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on there 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a lot of pissing around. I don't know, I feel really uncomfortable about that. I'll point him towards this later and see what he thinks, but you know, I just have that. I don't want to take the piss. Like the bigger triclover fittings for the heaters, I think that's going to be hard enough on this sort of, I don't know, on here. I don't know how it, yeah, I just don't think that's going to be easy in its own right. Right, anyway, fuck it. I think this is going to have to be the HLT, and the nicer looking one we'll keep as the copper, because that's the one realistically that people look at as the brew is happening, if that kind of like makes sense. You know, when I'm doing a brew on here, people see the stirring of the mash and the sparge, etc., and then over here they'll see when I'm dropping the hops in and whatever. Nobody ever really looks at the HLT. So I think you are now, little thing, you are now HLT, which will have the big hole, and then the kettle will have a smaller hole, but big enough for the, wherever it is over there, the hop spider. And this will then be a lid for that. I'm going to put it down on that little shorter thing to do the cutting. I'm going to do a test cut on an old top, what I cut out of a flower pot. And those who follow my adventures in tooling will know that the 600 quid plasma cutter that I got from MadeByMartyn, I'll be sure to tag them in this, is somewhere missing. We're still waiting for it back a year and a half after they took it away to look at repairing it. So this is a 100 quid one off eBay, which works better. Fuck you, MadeByMartyn. Anyway, I've replaced all of the end gubbins, so the shield, the anode, and I don't know if they're called anodes and cathodes, they're probably not, are they? But whatever they're called, I've put new ones on the end, and I'm going to do a test cut on here. Now, I might have to take that towel down, but the CCTV up there should, whoops, where are you? There you are. Should hopefully capture this. It won't be the best of quality, but it'll probably be alright on there. That is what we want. We want a nice, clean, it's not totally clean there, but cleanish all the way round. So now I'm happy-ish with the setup. 35 on there. Keep the I've got two air regulators. Right, this is it. We're going to go for the biggie now, guys. I can't film it obviously, but the CCTV up there will catch it, and I'll do a high speed slow motion. What? I'm really not sure how well the CCTV will come out of me doing this, but I've got a reasonably good cut around there with the plasma cutter. Unfortunately, there are still there's always a couple of areas where it hadn't gone quite the way through. It's not the best of plasma cutters, but it's better than the one from Machine Mart, the Plasma King 30i for 600 quid. That was good. So now we cut the smaller hole in here, chop, 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 for the kettle, and then hope that lid is big enough. Of course it'll be big enough. What are you talking about, Muppet? Right, here we go, guys. There are times when I hope that CCTV camera doesn't work. This is one of those times that I hope that CCTV camera doesn't work, because that was the worst bit of plasma cutting I've ever done in my entire life. But it's done. He's oofed. And what we need to know now, yeah, we've got a good enough sized lid with enough overhang bits. I'm gonna need to get rid of that. This bit here is what they weld on to identify the owner, so that's definitely gonna have to go. There was no owner on there because where I bought it from had cleaned it off. So right now I need to get a flap wheel around here, clean all this off, clean all that off. We have a copper and we have an HLT, and what I'm going to try and do is get my mate Mark, the main man, to cut me a disc that will just fit in there. If you can, Mark, that would be brilliant. Right, so now spend some time with a flap wheel. Take that off. There's probably one on there. Oh no, it's on the lid, isn't it? Look at that. I might leave that on there. Yeah, I think I will. Right, flap wheel, finish oft. See that one? No, that's really good. Excellent. This one, fucking hell. Anyway, that's just the worst. That's the worst ever. Fucking hell, I don't know what's happened here. What happened here? So I'm going to have to give it all a good clean. I'm going to get the pliers on and break bits off and stuff, but I have not got any flap wheels. I thought I did have some. I probably have got some, but I can't find them right now. So what am I going to do instead? Got to be done, isn't it? Day 4. Clean glass, not a clean drip mat. Bloody hell. Right, I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to pour it with one hand. Look at that colour. I don't know if it will show up really well on there, but what a beautiful colour. That's weird because I'm looking for it. It looks a different colour here than it does on where I'm on, you know, to me. If I was to, never mind, it doesn't matter, shut up. So this is Harrison's Pale Ale, a nice sessionable 4%, day 4 of the Adventy calendar. I also put a little short video up about this from another of her favourite local breweries, Triple Point. £1 from every can that they sell goes to combat food poverty in the UK in 2020. It's a disgrace. We should ask ourselves why. Now, what do we think of this? Quah. Do you know what? That's about as refreshing as it comes. It's quite light. It's got some beautiful flavours in there. Quah. That's how good it is. In some cultures, to burp is a sign of appreciation. Right, that's it now. Tomorrow, it's going to be a sad day. I was going to do a brew tomorrow. I've got the lager. I've got the starter going upstairs and everything. Unfortunately, that lager's going to have to wait until Sunday. But that means I will have some time tomorrow just to finish this off. It'll be alright once I've finished it all off. I'm going to bang the dents out of that. Go to town on them a little bit. Try and work out what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to go for the welded or weldless. I don't want to take the piss out of someone's generous offer to do the welding. That's someone, of course, being Chris. Chris Harrison Hawks. What have you let yourself in for? You should never have accepted that friend request, mate. Anyway, that's it for today. Not been a bad day. I've managed to cram a lot in to one short day, and now I'm going to cram a lot of this in as well. Cheers, boys and girls. And that's the 4th of December vlog. If you like it, click like and subscribe, click the bell, send cheese. That's the other thing. Please send cheese. Cheers.